Welcome back, friends. Last guy friend. It's time for more of the Grace Ace Attorney. Can't help but wonder how much further this case is gonna go. Like, we're gonna try to exonerate Saseki here, but we still gotta, I don't know, go after the person who did it? I don't know. There's those two random people we saw. Are they gonna be part of this at all, or are they for a future case? A lot of questions there. But here we go. Let's continue forward. Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Who ever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime. Objection! No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. Lord von Zeeks, is this true? Very well. Name the person if you will, if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. You will name this other person. Who could have perpetrated the crime? She's right here. Take that! The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again? My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrett. Me? Oh, dearie me. Objection! That request has already been denied. Objection! But the situation is very different now. Miss Garrett, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garrett. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the top-hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garrett. Is this knife the one removed from the victim's back? Have you really never laid eyes on it before? Ah! Ah! You can use her face like a mouse pad. Jesus Christ, with those cheeks. I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I pick up and throw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there and all that regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes. Objection! Oh. No, I have no recollection of saying that at all. Juror number 4. Oh, he wants the truth! Oh! Make no mistake, your jurors are not special in any way. You're not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know? What's that? Golly, what's that? Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Mrs. Garrett? Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought of that I'd injured someone. Did you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, that poor woman. Get her ass. Yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife, if that's what you think. Come along now. Chop chop. Do your worst. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? If I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror. Oh! The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Von Zieks. I'm going to have to testify? Juror number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. How daring me! So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Gedadib. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. Jurors up! This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. Oh, this is the angle? Huh. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. Holy crap! Oh, she's got her tea thing, really? That's where you save things. Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Garrett, and I'm, well, I'm a juror and such like. It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh dearie me. Jiggle physics, jiggle physics. Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about now. There he is. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. He can stand. Wasn't only you in the room that day old thing, was it? Rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. Hurts like a bitch, though. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone. Oh, John, look at the sparkles in her eyes. I presume you are Mr. Joan Garrett? We can put the pipe down. Yes, sir. Former 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action, and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Ah, well, yes. Quite. I believe this may represent at first, in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. Got a stiff upper lip. Witness's testimony. The Battle of Garrett. Oh my god. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked the candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out, though, and got to the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I'd notice if 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. If that battery thing in the victim's back was really one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think. Yeah, there's a missing tip, but what can we do with that, huh? It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. I had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield you're just a gnat's biscuit from death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end. Van Zeeks may well be right. Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Miss Naruhodo. Yes, I'm afraid it's so. Very well, Counsel. Begin your cross-examination. I found a way to take the growl out of that voice. The Battle of Garrett. Alright, time to press. It's mostly him talking, so she's going to react to his words, for sure. The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonged to Mr. Garrett. A rather passionate note, in fact. But Mrs. Garrett found the note discovering her husband's little secret. And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too. What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. And besides, half of it was wide of the mark anyway. Look at his lips like, oh, she's gonna fudge me up. A likely story. These waters run very deep. And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? Not even his name, yet seriously. Hold it! And the fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it? The bookcase, my armchair, and anything of mine, really. Just so happens there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed it about to put it out. A most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street where the water main isn't connected yet. Have to draw water from a public water pump during the day if you need any, you see. The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although that little mustached Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe. They have bottled water back then? The defendant, Mr. Natsumi, you mean? Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know. From his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off. Have you actually seen the state of the man? I believe he uses all of his income to buy books. Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Hold it! Even though the room was on fire? She had the rage. As far as I was concerned at the time. It was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of Sasato Takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. Is that true? How many times did you break his back? How did she know I was thinking that? So please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge. A napkin. By Jupiter, eh? Alright, keep going for now. It was really only soft items I was throwing. You do not throw soft items at someone you're mad at. Girl. No you ain't. No you ain't. And I was really most restrained. The majority of them barely hit John. I swear she probably threw a shell at him. By Jupiter, she threw a shell at me. He's my husband, after all. I see, Mrs. Garrett. Your thoughtfulness and consideration for your spouse is apparent. What about you, Mr. Garrett? Do you remember what your wife threw at you? Well, I recall The Lion's Pride, of course. Jolly good book. Only just purchased it, too. And a jolly good book for burning, it seems. But it was a dashed awful scene on the battlefield, I can tell you. Flames everywhere, smoke billowing, couldn't see a belly thing, really. I dare say I wouldn't even have noticed a knife bouncing off the old bonds. I don't think they tend to bounce, really. Not what he meant. Alright, so we'll get these two and then we'll go back. Sorry, would you care to elaborate? Nothing to say, really. Rather partial to a spot of carving, you see. Pipes and whatnot. Fishing tackle, you know the sort of thing. It's a passion we both share. I like to carve little wooden trinkets, too. Then there's my leather work. Sorry to say we're always losing knives about the place, and we have dozens of the things. They sell them at the market sometimes, 20 for the price of 19. Needless to say, I snap them up. John prefers to use 2 knives at meal times, too, instead of a knife and a fork. Now, Joan, we don't want people thinking I'm some kind of savage. Here we go again with the scaldings. Why are they being so evasive? I want to believe they're the parents of that knife guy. Please tell me they're his parents. I would accept that. I imagine it's because they don't want to believe it. They can't bear the thought that it might have been one of their knives that injured the victim. Which is entirely understandable, of course, but still. Go on with your testimony, witnesses. Sir! Last part? Hold it! So you have no intention of admitting it was your knife, unless we can produce proof? Boo! Even though there is no other credible possibility of Mr. Natsume is innocent? Objection! You forget, my Nipponese friend, that it has yet to be established that the accused is not responsible for the attack. As if I could forget. If only there was some way to know who had handled the knife. But I suppose wizardry like that is just a dream. Perhaps you're thinking of fingerprinting, Mr. Naruhodo? What? You mean it's not a dream? That sort of wizardry really exists? Whenever people touch anything, they leave behind a unique pattern from their skin, or so they say. But I can't see anything! There are already countries in the world where these so-called fingerprints can be used as evidence. No, wrong voice. Lord Strongheart is currently discussing the matter at the Ministry of Justice. Yes, I believe we are rapidly approaching an age of scientific methods of investigation. But for now, we shall have to find an alternative method of proving our assertion. That this knife found in the victim's back was originally in Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house. If only I could transplant this whole incident to several years in the future. Alright. That's the extent of their testimony, is it? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I think we've heard all this before, to be honest. I can't say I'm particularly confident that we'll be able to prove anything new from this testimony. Freaking cars. But in this cross-examination, it's absolutely essential that we establish how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident. Yes, I know. I'm sure both of them must be feeling very worried. Worried that it was in fact a knife belonging to one of them that caused the victim's injury. If we could find even a tiny shred of evidence to support that theory, it would clinch this trial for us. It would explain everything. Yes, it would. So for Saseki-san's sake, we must. We must find that last crucial piece of evidence. Okay, first let me take a look at our evidence. We should look at the knife, I guess. But what is there that we can prove besides the tips broken off? That's all we have, is that the tip's broken. Yeah, the tip's missing. Yeah, like, it's all we got, but how can we prove with the tip, right? Unless the tip is on them right now, that's it. Okay, let's go to the one where he's like, what the balls? Chris. By Jupiter! By Jupiter!
By Jupiter!
There it is. It's like, ooh.
Excuse me.
Hey, bro, I noticed something. You have something to add, sir? Mr. Garrett! Don't shoot. Oh, sorry. I beg your pardon. Did your wife's remarks just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker I seem to recall. Ouch! And the woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct hit with every belly. Ah! Don't grieve, woman. We're not at home now. This is a court of law. Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear. What you even doing with the teapot in here? Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. Well, take a look at this, then. How do you suppose that happened, eh? Your pipe, sir. Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it out clean with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see, your pipe was broken. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. Huh, you're one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I wonder what we should make of this account. It could be important. The defense gives Mr. Garrett's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection!
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes, as well as hearts, may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might might? Might one. In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Very well. The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. Pipe has been added. Mr. Garrett's pipe apparently fell to the floor during a domestic dispute he had with his wife and broke. Hope I didn't speak out of turn, Miss Naruto. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down. Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to Sasato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Well, thank you for that rebuttal, Mr. Garrett. Now we could return to the crux of the matter. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? So the tip's gonna be in the pipe somehow? He's been sucking pipe? He's been sucking knife? Have you been sucking knife, sir? Sounds like euphemism. It's right in there! It's just sitting in there. Alright, let's look at the pipe. It looks to be in a sorry state with that bandage around it, doesn't it? For some reason, it feels slightly ominous to me, like it's trying to shout out a warning. Probably because it's the same blue as Mr. Garrett's dressing gown. I suppose it must have had considerable sentimental value, Mr. Garrett. Given that he's gone to the trouble of repairing it like this. Either that or he can't afford to replace it. Well, look what's in here! Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think. How do you get the knife tip stuck in the pipe? That's weird. How? Like, just go with physics. How? We can see where the knife is right there, so it got in there, snapped off the tip, and kept going. Let's turn it over and give it a shake. Well, what's this? It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. The tip of a blade? Surely it couldn't be. Fragment of metal has been entered into the curve. One piece of metal looks like it might be the tip of a knife blade. It was stuck inside the bowl of Mr. Garrett's pipe. Go back, look at the tip. This is the tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's nut pipe. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. The tip of a blade? Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? I don't really know. There's just something niggling me, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is. Perhaps in that case, it would be wise to examine some of the other pieces of evidence again. There it is, yep. Do we go back to the knife? Go back to the knife. To save a life. There it is. Just the tip. Oh, like here, Miss Naruhodo. Just the tip. The blade wait! Part of it's missing! I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. Remember this? Ah, that's the tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Garrett's pipe. Yes, and just maybe... Oh my! It's a perfect fit! Somehow I just knew it. Ah, we got him! We got their ass! We got their ass! Alright, we got him! Okay, now... Here's where we present, but... What do I present is the problem. The knife or the pipe? I guess I present the pipe? Let's see, we don't have much left, so... Oh, I'm all the way down here. Oops, I didn't mean to save over that. I guess I don't have to worry about that considering you can just start the chapter. But okay, whatever. There we go. Let's try the pipe? Present. Not the pipe. Try the knife. Try the knife. Try the knife. Try the knife. Oh, well, he's dead. Let's just see what happens when you fail. Okay, so where am I supposed to put this then? Oh, it's over. That'll do. I believe we've seen quite enough here. So Seki will die now. Alright, well, time to load. Oh, good, I can just... Wait. I can just load here. There it is. Where the hell am I supposed to put this thing? Alright, here we go. I guess we prove it here? There it is! Alright. Now we're on the knife's edge, literally. Mr. Garrett, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a belly thing. You can't? Used to call me Dead-Eyed Deb back in the regiment, of course, but that was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does. Dearie me, it's rather wearing being asked about every other letter in every other word. You must D very dusty, does he? What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap of metal is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? Slap! I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence, already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth in this case, my lord. His butt is... What's with his butt? You appear rather confident in your extraordinary statements, Counsel. Very well, then. Present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case? Take that! This the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, not languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. Huh? Woo! Took it to the heart. The vampire's down. Good grief, Lord Von Zeeks. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh! Oh my god, Santa! Come on, Santa! Order! 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 Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle! So Von Zeeks has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is, when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. I had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Which was also, the blade was fully out, by the way. Oh, dearie me. She went for the kill shot. At his pipe, of course, because if she really wanted it, I think she would have landed it. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was in the pavement below, Mrs. Garrett had flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrett, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tippet to break off, of course. Good lord! Now, like about Von Zeeks, he's at least admitting to defeat and finding the truth, unlike Edgeworth for a while. Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1. And the chance of a knife hitting a lady is 1,000,000 to 1 too. And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. Question. Aren't knives meant to be, heavier at the base so that it would rotate and hopefully not just keep going straight down? In short, this knife fell from the window of the Garrett house. Is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh. No!
Objection!
That lady is short, dang. Oh, he's coming back. Okay, now what? He's recovered, so... What's he got? What you got, Zeeks? A full-bodied theory, I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nepalese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry? But after all, it is just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see, it's spoilt by an insurmountable inconsistency. An insurmountable? What? Lord Von Zeeks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her... That's right, you silly little man. She bent over to pick up the book. Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck her had fallen from above, there's no possible way it could have planted itself in the victim's back. Ah! Except there is! I got it. Oh, look, the chair's empty. Alright. Order! Order! Quite right, you see? That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head. Abusive. Well, we have the answer. Come on, bro. He's lost for sure. Wait, look. I knew it. I never liked this theory in the first place. I don't know what really did happen. It would appear the defense has made rather a spectacular blunder. Nope. If a theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. It's not over. Wake the hell up. Wake up, Ryunosuke. Get their ass. We were so close, I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand. And we got their ass. Mrs. Sato? She's got it. You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all. And your mind went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is the court record, of course. All the information you need is there. It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
No, it ain't! What? This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test! Yes! If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel? There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness! Utter madness! That's the wrong voice, but I had a hiccup. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. We're gonna save just to be safe it's somehow wrong. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is... Save! You really want to do all that again, right? That'll just waste our time. There we go. It's gotta be the book! The book! Do I do this, or do I do the book? Do this, the book. This, do the book.
Take that!
This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence that the defense will present. The burnt book. Is that not Mr. Garrett's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. The photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. But as we all know now, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Quite so, as part of this wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. That's true, however, as part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. That's when we first ran over to the scene. That victim was already holding the book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. And clearly that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? By Jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now. Oh, dearie me. We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garrett household and onto the pavement below. At precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Lost the voice for a second. Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog. When all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her. The book I threw? Yes, Mrs. Garrett. And what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement? Well, I really can't imagine it. But I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up. Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book. Oh heavens! And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Like a turtle, but backwards. Then in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book. Oh, that's a crappy way to go. The next object fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. I'd fall from shock for sure. And at that same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Well, I never. It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above. Huh? And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Holy balls! Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garrett. The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that. There, old bean. Why, Miss Garrett, Of course, I never meant for anything like the sort of that happened, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. And I threw the knife as well. John, dear. It's all right, I know. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry. Oh no, catch her! Catch her! Oh, he didn't catch her. Oh, thank God he caught her. Okay. Oh, I'm screwed. Oh, his leg. Oh, he's gonna rip even further. Or fall. Nobody gets the guy, huh? Nobody go gets him. Nobody saves it. No bailiff. No bailiff wanted to save him right there. His back's in trouble now. Lord Von Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Gedidib? She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There's no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. There is some good news, however, my lord. I have just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her. She could have said she was picking up a book and got a knife in the back. How wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, that is good news. So, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Freaking hate this guy. Yes? On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable kindness and racism. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it is me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed, too. I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I first arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Saseki-san. His imagination really has got the better of him. Yes, poor man. What had happened? I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should have never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help from a doctor, for the police. Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires. And for that, I am truly sorry. Mr. Garrett was in the spot, by the way. One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by this spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Von Zeeks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken, and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh! Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decisions regarding the defendant's culpability. Everyone just says guilty. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion. I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Golly, well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean whilst she's out of action, you know. But I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time. I say, I'll have a cork of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decisions. Foreman?
Not guilty.
There you go.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
That's his voice?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not a guilty. Kablam! Take it. Very well, Mr. Soseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you not guilty. No call for you. Yay! Jesus. Fireworks. And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord, sir. You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh, yes, sir, of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears. Thank you, consuls. Court is adjourned. Oh, now to deliver presents and kickballs. 20th February, 3:17 p.m. I guess we still work for that one guy. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Let's end this. Oh, locum. Wait, you mean me? Freaking out. Of course! Is there another locum here? Is there even one? Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last I'm free! I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Heady, hearty, happiness, hooray! Oh, I am pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted. Would it be so hard just to say that, then? Locum, you did it. You saved me from the brink. Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault, after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. No, not that! Lovely, loyal, locum lawyer! Yes? I mean, as I said before, I have just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Now I gotta straighten up after hearing that. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you locum lawyer, gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the bally's roof, I've bellowed, behold the best baddest ever born! Well, that's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? Is that what's to become of all my hard work? Ah, there you are, my dear fellows. Who is it? I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I'm here at another moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh. The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the best of luck. It's just finished. What? No, then my haste was in vain? Ah, it's you, Herlock Sholmes. Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom, either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. It's all his fault for running away. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Ah! Had she been taken to hospital more urgently, I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. Oh! But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. Well, but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. You got me by the balls. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Very well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Priceless. Oh, I am sorry, really. But that was quite priceless. Or Saseki-san. It's me, Saseki-san. But still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you were not even found guilty. Well, there's no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after all this, I'm still cursed by the spirits and now by the Reaper. Ah, Lord Von Zeeks. I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will be all right, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you. Hey, yeah! Ah! Why me? Why me? With a perfectly executed Sasato takedown. Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of warning might be nice next time, Mr. Sato. Oh, he's into it. Okay, good for him. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan? Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh. It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here, the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize that it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Oh, and perhaps with less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse? That's not at all! That's not it at all! What it is, actually. The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. A work of literature by Saseki-san. Could be an interesting read. It's about cats. I don't know. It's called I Am a Cat. And what about Mr. Sato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry, what about us? It's been 3 days. Will you return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot? Why would we? A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. And only now does it feel as though we have finally found our feet. And you are accompanied in a... And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right, but we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you could take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room? But what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for with the floor, ceiling, and walls. Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit. The cat? Oh yes. It tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. The cat. Well, think about it. Yeah, that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Oh, Sasato wants that hard. Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of. Oh, this is simply wonderful. Wait. Have they just been wearing the same clothes for 3 days? What an honor to be invited to take lodgings in the great detective's office attic. I'm too overcome for words. So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. Wait, it was only for... No, you say Natsume, not Narino's Keke. I don't know what to say, but thank you and yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long. Somebody's happy. Locum. I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you, too. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again someday. Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I've little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. If not, I'll break him out. Haha! And so, with Saseki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home, 221B Baker Street. We're still going? Okay, we're still going. Still going. 20th February, 4:41 p.m., the attic room. Oh yeah, we saw this in the opener. At some point. I mean, the opening screen at some point. I wondering what this was. So this is to be our new office. Yes. Our office? I really like the sound of that. Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it? I hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step. But I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Oh, wow, look at him. No hat is weird. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, thank you very much. It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it. Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We have a lot to celebrate. Iris, you must let me help you. Alright then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad. This is my salad gun. Splendid! Pulls out a gun, really. So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel? You have your own office in the capital. It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures await us. Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Sorry. London is a glorious place full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightness of lights... Cast the darkness of shadows. Yep! Cast the darkest of shadows. I got it right. Shadows? What do you mean? Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So once again, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London. The end. Alright. One more case. Of course, at the time, I had no idea the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came. To lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. Turns out Santa was in on everything. The end. For now. Alright. There we go. Landed in London Award. Okay. And with that we save. That right there is the game for now. I have fun, hope you have fun watching. That's what's all about it. Having fun. Thanks for coming by and see you next time.